Clapperboard title. The CEO ignored the single dad, until seeing him with another woman changed everything. Fire hook to keep viewers watching till the end. She dismissed him with a single glance. Just another struggling single dad, not worth her time. But the night she saw him laughing with another woman, confident, transformed, and completely unrecognizable, something inside her shattered. Who was he really? And why did it suddenly feel like she had made the biggest mistake of her life? Open Book Chapter 1. The Man She Never Saw. Olivia Grant had built her empire from nothing. As the CEO of a fast-growing tech company, she was known for her sharp instincts, ruthless decisions, and an almost icy detachment from anything that didn't serve her goals. People admired her, but they also feared her. So when Daniel Hayes first walked into her office building, he barely registered on her radar. He wasn't dressed for success. His shirt was clean but worn, his shoes scuffed from years of use. In one hand, he held a folder, his resume. In the other, a small hand clung tightly to his fingers. His daughter, Lily. Please, sir, you can't bring a child into the interview area, the receptionist said gently. Daniel hesitated. I don't have anyone to watch her today. I really need this job. Olivia happened to be passing by. She paused for a brief second, her eyes flicking toward the scene. A single dad, desperate, unprepared. In her world, that translated to one word: liability. We don't make exceptions, she said coldly, without even slowing her pace. If he can't separate personal life from work, he's not a fit. Daniel heard her. He didn't argue. He didn't plead again. He simply nodded, knelt down to Lily's level, and whispered something that made her smile despite the situation. Then he walked out, dignity intact, even if opportunity wasn't. Olivia didn't think about him again. Weeks passed. The company grew. Deals were signed. Numbers climbed. But cracks were forming, not in the business, but in Olivia's life. Late nights turned into empty mornings. Success started feeling hollow. Meanwhile, Daniel's world was very different. He wasn't chasing millions. He was chasing stability. Every morning, he woke before sunrise, prepared Lily for school, and then worked whatever jobs he could find: construction, delivery, freelance repairs. At night, he studied online courses, trying to improve himself. Not for ambition. For her. There were moments when exhaustion nearly broke him. Bills piled up. Opportunities slipped through his fingers. But every time Lily hugged him and said, "You're the best dad in the world," he kept going. Because for her, he had to. One evening, as rain poured over the city, Daniel sat at a small desk in their tiny apartment, helping Lily with her homework. "Daddy," she asked softly, "why do you work so much?" He smiled, even though his eyes were tired. "So one day, you won't have to." That night, after she fell asleep, Daniel opened his laptop again, not for work this time, but for learning. Coding, business strategies, anything that could give him a chance. He wasn't waiting for someone to believe in him anymore. He was building something himself. And slowly, quietly, things began to change. Open Book Chapter 2, the moment everything changed. Months later, Olivia attended a high-profile charity gala, one of those events filled with polished smiles, expensive dresses, and carefully crafted conversations. She was used to commanding attention the moment she entered a room. But that night, something unexpected happened. Her attention was stolen. Across the room stood a man in a perfectly tailored suit, speaking confidently to a group of investors. His posture was strong, his presence magnetic. There was something familiar about him. Then she saw his face. Daniel, the same man she had dismissed without a second thought. But he wasn't the same anymore. He looked transformed. And beside him stood a woman, elegant, poised, clearly successful. They were laughing together, their connection effortless. Something tightened in Olivia's chest. Confusion, curiosity, and something deeper, something she didn't want to name. She moved closer, pretending to be engaged in another conversation, just to overhear. "Our startup has been growing rapidly," Daniel was saying. "We focused on practical solutions, things people actually need. Startup. Olivia's mind raced. The man she rejected built his own company. Before she could process it fully, their eyes met. Recognition flickered. Daniel didn't look angry. He didn't look bitter. He simply looked at peace. "Ms. Grant," he said politely when she approached. "Nice to see you again." His voice carried no resentment. That somehow made it worse. "I didn't expect to see you here," Olivia admitted. "Life has a way of surprising us," he replied. The woman beside him smiled warmly. "Daniel's being modest. He's the reason half the people here are talking about innovation tonight." Olivia felt a strange discomfort. This wasn't the narrative she was used to. "You've done well," she said. "Not alone," Daniel replied, glancing briefly at the woman. "And not overnight." There was a quiet strength in his words, the kind that couldn't be faked. For the first time in a long while, Olivia felt small. Not because she had less power, but because she had misjudged someone completely. Later that evening, Olivia found herself alone on the balcony, staring out at the city she once felt she owned. Footsteps approached. It was Daniel. "For what it's worth," she said after a pause, "I was wrong about you." Daniel leaned against the railing. "You didn't know me." "I didn't try to." He nodded. "Most people don't." Silence settled between them. Not uncomfortable, just honest. "I thought success meant never making exceptions," Olivia admitted quietly. "That emotions made people weak." "And now?" he asked. She exhaled. "Now I'm not so sure." Daniel smiled faintly. "Strength isn't about ignoring life. It's about carrying it, and still moving forward." Those words stayed with her. Long after the night ended. Long after Daniel walked away again, this time not as someone beneath her notice, but as someone she deeply respected. Glowing star final message, strong, inspiring ending. Olivia didn't become a different person overnight. But she changed. She started listening more, seeing people not as risks, but as stories. As potential. As human. And Daniel, he continued building, not just his company, but a life rooted in purpose, love, and quiet resilience. Because in the end, success isn't about who you overlook. It's about who you choose to see. And sometimes, the people we ignore are the ones who could have changed everything.